Welcome to Straight Reviews, where there's no bullshit beyond the sign. What to say about Billy Bob Thornton? He was great in Bad Santa, Bad News Bears, and that timeless classic alcoholic jerk-off that becomes human in the end. Oh, but I kid. He's actually a great actor and even a better director. Case in point, Sling Blade. Based off the short film Some Folks Call It a Sling Blade, which he also starred in, this particular film wow audience all over, and it's been nominated for 4 Oscars. I myself first heard about it through a Matt TV sketch that parodied James Cameron's habit of actionized sequels in the 80s and 90s. I was a little hesitant in watching the actual film because I feared it would be another Forrest Gump ripoff. However, upon watching on APTN, I was proven wrong. Spoilers ahead. The story begins in the same way the short film began. Carl Childers is a mentally disabled, simple-minded man that resides in a state hospital in Arkansas. Upon the day he was released, he is approached by 2 reporters doing a story on serial killers and the insanity plea, and want to interview him on the subject. It is then and there we find the reason for his stay. When he was 12, he thought his mother was being attacked by a younger man and killed him with a Kaiser blade, or sling blade as most people call it. Upon realizing that the man was having an affair with his mother, he killed her in a rage and has been institutionalized since. Where the short film ends on it, the movie continues off by showing his life outside the hospital. He has trouble getting his bearings, but with the help of his doctor, he finds a job as a lawnmower repairman due to his prior experience with fixing small engines. It is then and there he meets and befriends a bunch of people, from his boss to the Wheatley family. Linda, the mother, and her son Frank, who shares the same name as Carl's father. Frank and Carl get along like brothers, and Frank allows him to stay in the garage. He also makes fast friends with Vaughn, a dollar store manager and a friend of the Wheatleys, who has a few skeletons in his closet. However, not all is sunshine and rainbows when Carl and the family run afoul of Doyle, Linda's on-again, off-again boyfriend, who drinks and abuses Linda and Frank and is not afraid to pick fights with the older and bigger Carl. It's then up to Carl to make a choice between his own life outside the hospital or saving his newly found friends. When I first saw this movie, I didn't know what to expect, but I was blown away nonetheless. I barely recognized Thornton in the role until watching him do a reenactment on an episode of Inside the Actor's Studio, not to mention the overall persona in general. Looking at Thornton's above-mentioned works, it's very strange to see him play someone who's not a complete jerk, yet he pulls it off nonetheless. The rest of the cast was superb, from John Ritter's role as Vaughn, who seemed like to be a genuine father figure to Frank, and Lucas Black is pretty convincing as a kid with a history of abuse on his shoulders. But major props go to Dwight Yoakam and J.T. Wash as villains Doyle and Charles Bushman. With Bushman, he serves as the complete opposite of Carl. As Carl does not have any interest in sex, is remorseful of his crime and keeps to himself, Charles relishes in every one of his crimes and tells anyone that he believes is willing to listen. Then there's Doyle, who despite being the bad guy, has some depth to him. His personality, in contrast to Carl, is the equivalent to Gaston the Beast. Doyle, despite being the self-proclaimed only sane man, is insane, abusive, rude, bigoted, and loud. Whilst Carl is quiet, patient, and tolerant to many friends he makes regardless of their age, sex, and orientation, only showing anger twice in the movie. The first when he confronts his own abusive father, whilst the second when Doyle threatens Frank. Yet despite all that, Doyle shows no surprise whatsoever when Carl kills him. It makes me wonder if he was really some kind of death seeker, or at the very least too drunk and insane to care whether or not he lives or dies. The music is a mess, but not a bad mess. But each song played in the movie establishes certain moves while at the same time uses a different genre of music. From country to wave-ish to rock and roll. My personal favorite is the Secret Place song, for its Yuri Miyamoto meets Western feel. The overall storyline is fantastic, and it shows that good and evil are not just about who you are, or what you do, but how you react to such actions. In the case of Carl, he feels genuine remorse for his actions and even has a sense not to relapse into them unless it's in the interest of the others. Whereas every violent and destruction action Doyle does, he only does it for himself. All in all, Sling Blade is worth the watch, and I reckon you grab the nearest plate of French fried potatoes and watch it. Some eat popcorn, but I eat potatoes. As usual, debate, argue, let me know what I missed. Stay tuned for more.